So welcome everybody to our monthly All Souls Saturdays at 6. Not Saturdays at 6, that's the slip of the tongue. Second Saturdays poetry reading. You'll learn about Saturdays at 6 in a few minutes. So we do these every month. We do start at 11 o'clock promptly. So that's in this COVID era, that's become more common and more commonplace that the poets have behaved their way into a new way of thinking where people have learned to be punctual. So we always start these right at 11 o'clock. So thank you for being on time. We will, after our featured reader, we will have an open read. So if you'd like to participate in the open read, all you need to do is go into the chat box and put in your name. And when we get to the open read, I will call upon you in groups of 3, and you will know, so you won't be surprised when you're called on. So if you want to read, everyone's invited to read. Just put your name in the chat box. You don't have to write me a long message to say, just I want to read, and I'll pick you up by name. Please keep your microphone muted. So I've muted everybody here. It's not that I like to control things. It's just it's a lot easier when there's only one voice and you don't have the cacophony of noises in the background. We do strongly believe that feedback is a gift. So if there's something you like about today's program, if there's some way it could be improved, if in some way we did not meet your expectations, there's my email right there, danielbkerr@verizon.net. I gather the feedback and I discuss it regularly with both Kathy and Dr. Bronson. So again, feedback is a gift. We look forward to your feedback. The planned agenda, always got to put plans because as we know, life is what happens to us when we are making plans. The planned agenda is that we will go till 12, but depending upon how many people want to read, we may flex a little bit, maybe go a little bit beyond 12. Even since we've been doing this the last 18 months, we've never flexed past 12:30. So we'll sometime between 12 and 12:30, we will end. The sequence will be, I'll get us grounded. I'll welcome you on behalf of that historic church you see in the lower right-hand corner there on the hill. Dr. Bronson will introduce, we'll do a little bit of, he generally has a poem or two he wants to share. He'll introduce Vicki. Then what we'll do is we'll switch over to the open read. And again, if you want to participate in the open read, just put your name in the chat box. And when it's time for the open read, I will announce you in groups of 3, so you're not surprised. Then we'll bring Vicki back for an encore, and then we'll bring back Dr. Bronson at the end, who will give some concluding remarks and also let you know, announce who the poet, featured poet is going to be in February. Again, we thank Kathy Donnelly for securing the poet. She does a great job giving us quality featured readers every month. This program, where we at All Souls Church are very honored to host this program. We've been hosting it for several years. It's one of many things that we do to serve the community. I wear many hats there, and people ask me, how big is the congregation? I say, well, if you count people in nursing homes and little babies who were just baptized, we got about 90 people. But we don't define our congregation that way. We define our congregation in the people that we serve in the community who we have a relationship with. So there is a list that many of you are on, which is called Friends of All Souls. And I'm happy to say that now that list is now approaching 800 people. So those are 800 people that have a relationship with us. They get invited to our events. Some things that we do to serve the community is, I'm going to change the order here for those of you who are used to this, and I changed some of the pictures. So that is not a picture of All Souls Church. That's a picture of St. Gerard Mejia Roman Catholic in Terryville. They have a very large food pantry. They feed several hundred families. Our doors are open for prayer and reflection every day. Every time we do an event at the church, we say, lend a hand, bring a can. So every week we harvest our food and bring it to St. Gerard. On going to the right there, you'll see a picture of the church during Gregorian chant and music at Taizé, which is a monthly program that we do. Church is mystically lit. There's beautiful chanting of the monks. We do that once a month, where we don't have one scheduled in January, but we'll bring you back soon. The gentleman on the right there is our Native American drummer, he's also a chiropractor, Dr. Rick Stadler. We do Native American drumming once a month. That's the last Thursday of the month. We also do an interdenominational rosary there on the right-hand side. Many people think that, the rosary is only done by Roman Catholics. Well, that's not true. Buddhists do the rosary, Muslims do the rosary. We do the Christian rosary, but we don't do just the Roman Catholic. We don't just do the Anglican. We don't just do the Greek Orthodox. We figured out a way to respectfully integrate the traditions of all 3 of those, and that we do once a week. Lower right-hand corner, we are proud to and honored to host this program, the second Saturday's poetry reading. So that picture there of Robert Savino and Barbara Southern is when Robert passed the twig, which was the sign of authority. Robert, I think Richard probably still has his twig somewhere that he got from Barbara. So we passed the twig. We also do, if you switch to the middle there, you'll see Rabbi Fisher. And that's Rabbi Fisher preaching at our weekly interdenominational morning prayer service. So the fact that we've got a Jewish rabbi preaching there at All Souls reinforces the fact that it's an interdenominational service. Also, what we do, go to the right there, is what we've done now is we do something every Christmas where we tell the story of the birth of Jesus in scripture and also in song. So we bring in a soprano from the university, we have a local band that plays, we have our historic tracker organ. And what happens is after each reading, we do a hymn, and we also invite the congregation to sing along. So you'll see several local clergy there singing in the front row. Some of you may recognize Reverend Ford in the front row there from Stony Brook University. If you look carefully, you'll see Pastor Kim from the Methodist Church in Setauket and so forth. And then the last thing, lower left-hand corner, this is, I got confused before, this is the Saturdays at 6 concerts. So we do monthly concerts. So that happens to be Tom Manuel from the Jazz Loft, which many of you know, comes in at least once or twice a year. And he has a group called Gospel Road that perform at the church as well. So again, it's on behalf of All Souls. It's an honor and a privilege to host you. And at this point, welcome. And at this point, I'll mention one more thing. The picture of the church you would have seen on the cover is at the top of a hill. So we have many people that would like to get into that church that can't make it up the hill. This was first brought to my attention by our former poet laureate, Gladys Henderson, who had to stop coming to the poetry sessions because she couldn't make it up the hill. So once a year, we do a 5K race, 2K walk that raises funds to make the church accessible to all and also to put a bathroom in the church. And you'll see here, every year there is a group. This started 3 or 4 years ago. Sharon Doyle and Kathy Donnelly came up with the idea of, why don't we have a group of poets that marches as a group each year in the parade, in the race rather. So this is the Live Poets Society. This, and you'll see, you recognize Dr. Bronson and his wife, you'll recognize Kathy and Rabbi Fisher and Barbara Southerday. We do that the end of September, early October. Please consider joining us for that. We'd like to see that Live Poets Society grow every year. So speaking of live poets, let me turn it over to Richard. Richard, all over to you. Got to turn your mic on.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is one of my favorite events, the second Saturday reading. And I look forward to hearing the poems, especially to hearing Vicki's reading. So what I've been doing the last few months, and I'm continue doing it, is to read one poem from my new collection of poetry and perfect knowledge, and read one poem from the Law and Poetry Flash. Twice a month we meet and we share poems, our favorite poems, which is also interesting. And the poem from the Flash I'm going to share today is by Howard Nemeroff. So Howard Nemeroff had been Poet Laureate of the United States a couple of times, I think, and he taught for a while at Bennington, then went to Wash U. And I sort of discovered him in a bookstore when Wash U visiting my son years ago. And his sister was Diane Arbus, the famous photographer. So this is a poem titled A Spell Before Winter. After the red leaf and the gold are gone, brought down by the wind and by the hammering rain, bruised and discolored when October's flame goes blue to guttering in the cusp, this land sinks deeper into silence, darker into shade. There's a knowledge in the look of things. The old hills hunch before the north wind blows. Now I can see certain simplicities in the darkening rust and tarnish of the time, and say over the certain simplicities, the running water and the standing stone, the yellow haze of the willow and the black smoke of the elm, the silver silent light, where suddenly, readying toward nightfall, the sumac's candelabrum darkly flames, and I speak to you now with the land's voice. It is the cold, wild land that says to you, knowledge glimmers in the sleep of things. The old hills hunch before the north wind blows. And I'm going to read a short poem from my collection. So this poem is an old one. I wrote this at a time when I was a resident, a joint resident, and on call every other night. And if I were home on the weekend, Monday was somewhat hard getting back to work. And this poem sort of came out of those distant memories. It's called "I've Come to Know the Melancholy." I've come to know the melancholy of Monday morning roads leading toward the incarceration of offices and the anvil of their hours. And I know the sadness of blue evenings as dusk passes into darkness, street lamps switching on, illuminating the long way home. I know the dark solemnity of empty houses awaiting their occupants and the solitude of autos that carry cloistered drivers alone on night highways, each at the end of days. Well, anyway, that's my little poetry for today. I'm going to move forward and to welcome our guest reader, Vicki Iorio. And so Vicki is really well known, I'm sure, to everyone, on Long Island, a very accomplished poet and author of the book Poems from the Dirty Couch. And she's written 2 chapbooks, and her poems have appeared widely in various journals, and she has a sort of spunkiness about her style. I just, as a list here of the various poetry journals, and I'm just so happy to have her read today, and I look forward to her reading to the second Saturday. Welcome, Vicki. Looking forward to hearing you read.
Okay, I unmuted. Everyone hear me? Okay. Thank you.
Fine.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Kathy. And thank you all for showing up. So I'll start. And I just wanted to dedicate this reading to Mary Healy's mother, Joan Healy, who died yesterday. Yeah. So, and Mary's a great poet, and Joan is a great supporter of the poetry community. And she always made the best cookies. So this is for her. I'm gonna miss her. Okay, so since we're still in COVID, my first poem is called Zooming. Zooming. When I join a Zoom event, everyone looks tired. Some people sleep on their couches. I used to fix my hair for Zoom, take a shower and put on business casual. Now I just wear my PJs. Who can tell and who gives a damn? Zooming. I Google random things and text my friends. Definition of Zoom: 1, of a car or aircraft moving or traveling very fast. 2, of a camera to change smoothly from a long shot to a close-up or vice versa. On Zoom, we look like the blended family on the Brady Bunch or B-list celebs on Hollywood Squares. I don't have to take a subway or drive to get to an event. I just press a button and I am there. It's like driving with your eyes closed, a sensation that wakes me up at night in a sweat. At any time, I can decide to leave without apology, without crashing. So my next poem, because we're still in the pandemic, is this was in Gail Teller's Corona anthology, and it's called The Cootie Factor. 23andMe traced my daughter back to the Neanderthals. Not much of a surprise, her father was a caveman. In the Bible, it's who begot whom. We are all related. In the Kevin Bacon game, we are all 6 degrees of separation. Facebook, or now Meta, has shown we are all connected. We are the world. Old Coke commercial, hands touching hands in a global group hug. Mi casa is your casa. My germs are your germs. COVID-19 has jumped from bats to humans. This butterfly affects us all. My family practices social distancing. We sleep in isolates. Keep the windows shut to shut out the boogeyman. Some of my FB friends are doing a Hail Mary chain, 1,000 Hail Marys to vanish the virus. Good luck to them. I unfriend them all. I call my brick and mortar peeps, invite them over for wine and Scrabble. It's not you, they say. It's who you might have been in contact with, the bank teller, the supermarket cashier. It's who you kissed or fist bumped. It's Billy Bones and the black spot, the unwanted treasure that kept my child body up at night. I am back in first grade. Ted, you're it. Cooties. It's a war with an unseen enemy. It starts with a cough and a chill and ends with the choice of who is worth saving. So, okay, so when the pandemic started, I could have either pigged out. I mean, I went to the supermarket, the potato chips were like empty, but I decided I was going to stay on my Peloton. So this is for my Peloton. Pelicans and Pelotons. Casting off my bra on my Peloton bike. Spin class for one, interactive, dripping sweat, liters of my salt, chill chest, back, floor. I am my own Dead Sea, floating in an endorphin-induced euphoria. Poems flash in my head during the connect of cadence, resistance, and output. The science of the ride led by fitness monsters. I will never have those abs, that butt, those upper arms. Peloton, in the land of pelicans. That string bikini will never be part of my wardrobe, just string theory logic. A gift from my gifted daughter on my Medicare birthday. Her way to buy me time before the pelicans swoop down to feed off me. So my mom passed away last year. She was 99. So the next few poems are for her. Saint Paulia. And Saint Paulia is Latin for African violets. I could have named it African violets, but I wanted to sound more intellectual. Saint Paulia. My mother's African violets made our southern exposure window a suburban jungle. Deconstructing fish, her busy hands would bury delicate cartilage in the potting soil. The secret is in the bones, she'd whisper to me, her Klingon, while we ate lunch. And I had her all to myself before my sister came home from school. This botanic curtain framed my life through high school. During college, the African violets were gone. Damn aphids, my mother said when I came home for Thanksgiving. Diseased perennials, the death knell of indoor plants for my mother. When we were old and older and lived like gal pals in a garden apartment, I'd hold my mother's hand, rough as the bark of a tree. We'd walk along the paths and admire the apartment's hydrangeas. My mother took out pennies from her pockets and buried them under the plants with the toe of her sneaker and whispered to me, there'll be a change in color come next spring. A cane, and then a walker, then winter. I did not tell her it is science, not secrets, that make things true. So the next one is also for her, the rollator. I heard the squeaky wheels each morning, my mother's first trip to the bathroom before she forgot to go. I could have WD-40'd the wheels, but like a baby monitor, the squeak kept me on my toes. Mom loved that walker. The red frame reminded her of the radio flyer her brothers would drag her around in when they had to watch her, the youngest of 8. It reminded me of the red wagon my mother pushed me in on Jerusalem Avenue when we went to the potato farms to pick out our supper russets. I put a straw basket on the walker's handlebars, a basket that in another universe would have carried a wedge of cheese and a baguette. In this universe, it held mom's pills, her phone directory, and flip phone. The last thing I gave her was a book of my poems. Sex and angst filled the pages. I'm not sure if she read it or understood it or was mad at it, but she held that book like a kitten, loving it until it slipped from her hands. Topsy-turvy. The tweet said, Bannon indicted, Brittany freed. My mother said her mother said it's a topsy-turvy world. We're talking more than 100 years of topsy-turvy. Disney's Hunchback of Notre Dame has a song called Topsy-Turvy. My daughter and I sang that song when I drove her to school. Can you even say hunchback, which sounds like humpback, which sounds a little kinky like sperm whale? So much testosterone in the deep blue sea. At the dinner table when I was young in a topsy-turvy family, and whose was it? I could say sperm whale and chicken breast. All of the sperms and breasts were verboten. My daughter has scoliosis. She had to wear a brace to school that made her hobble like Scout in her Halloween ham costume. The kids called her hunchback. I wanted to kill those fuckers. They straightened up when she graduated top of her class and made an FU speech that most of them were too dumb to understand. I take osteoporosis meds, so I don't get a dowager's hump. It sounds good to be a dowager, hump and all. I wouldn't mind wearing a tiara while I shop at Trader Joe's. The tweet said Brittany is free. They would never try a conservatorship with a male rock star. Can you imagine Mick Jagger under birth control surveillance? Bannon had to surrender his passport, then went back into his hidey hole. His boss is still looking for votes in every pussy he grabs. I stay in the dark and watch Disney movies, except Bambi. So I'm living in Florida now, but these are New York poems, sort of bibliographical. To my Levitt house. You were the house my parents took me to after I was born. From crib to single bed, grade school to college, I came home to you. When my parents moved their bedroom to the finished attic, I snuck boys in. I wrote poetry on my faux French desk, first in marble notebooks, then on my IBM Selectric, my graduation gift. I remember you always being sunny. Marriage took me away to angry houses, to flood and fire. When Dad died, Mom sold you to a contractor that flipped houses. She left the contents and ran away. To her, you were a storm. So I had a fire in my house in Oceanside, and this is what that's about. I also had flood, but we'll get to that. Homecoming. When I come home from my job at the airplane factory, my front door has gone missing. A Red Cross worker is sitting on the bones of my couch. Realtors walk in without knocking, pin their cards to walls that can't hold a paper's weight. Jehovah's Witnesses pray for better days with pamphlets that flutter in the hallway. The fire marshal squawks into a walkie-talkie. Glaziers sweep away diamonds of broken glass. Contractors wrap the staircase in yellow danger tape. My pearl necklace is glued to the bedroom carpet. One perfect shoe peeks out from my drowning mattress. Its patent leather mate swims in watery ashes. Books are charred on the verso page. Stories continue on the right side. Animal control carry out my darlings shrouded in grandma's wedding quilt. Smoke finds a home in my headache. Hot walls melt the snow falling in the kitchen. Birds circle the ceiling. She stuffed the insurance check in the front pocket of her tight jeans, took the card that didn't melt, that was hot but started. She scooped up her daughter and her daughter's bunny, charred on one side, black and pink. The house is the burning end of a cigarette. She floors the ignition. The night smells of fire. She does not believe she will ever lose that smell. It has nested in her hair, her nostrils, her sinus. Even her daughter smells like fire. The insurance check is a fire in her pocket. She has never seen that much money in a check made out to her. He is coming around tomorrow to reclaim the check. She will shower after she puts 100 miles between her and her destruction. She will stop driving when she quits smoking, dye her hair and her daughter's pink like the bunny. All right, so now here's the flood part. In the same house, we had Hurricane Sandy. And I noticed after the hurricane, electricians and plumbers were the rock stars of the neighborhood. So I had an epiphany. I'm like, what the hell am I doing as a poet? So it's about this. Next time around. Because no one needs a poet in a hurricane. I am coming back as a plumber. Everyone will want a piece of me when I arrive at your destruction in a spotless white panel truck, armed with a shining toolkit. I will snake out your overflow, auger your inner core, unclog your fears. As I crouch in ass-cracked stance, replacing your ballcock, my perfect schism, beribboned in a metallic thong, will make you hopeful. After I dredge the basement, remove fish, I will install red-hot nipples on your gas line. Unpeel when I am done. Take a hot shower. Consider my invoice, my magnum opus, next time around. This poem was recently published in the Long Islander, and it's about my love of the beach, which was my day camp when I grew up. We were there all the time. Jones Beach, 1969. Skin infused with salt, French fries, copper tone with a hint of vanilla. Our tongues make a soft, swirl journey of chocolate custard, bitterness that flowers atop a waffle cone. The Rolling Stones' Mother's Little Helper blasts from transistor radios. There is a war somewhere, but not here. We see the occasional freighter on the horizon, a sighting of sailors in dress whites on the boardwalk. That summer, there was so much to think about. Men on the moon, the Mets, Manson. At Woodstock, we all get skin infections, but being Americans, we have access to antibiotics. God bless the good old USA. Some of us take the red pills, while some of us, like me, pretend to swallow. When school starts, I iron my hair, Joni Mitchell straight, blossom into a hippie, secretly crave the safety of my bedroom and the pictures of Ringo taped on my pink walls. So I have two more. So
Yeah, probably, we're running about 11:30, so maybe you could do either one short one or two short ones would be fine.
Okay. That's what I planned. Okay.
Okay, great.
Let me know if this, okay. I thought Ringo Starr would marry me. After Ringo and Maureen divorced, I thought I was a shoo-in. He would pick me up. He would pick me out of a multitude of girls and wait for me to grow up. When I was in London, I saw Ringo drive an Aston Martin on Oxford Street. He didn't stop for a chubby college girl from Levittown, but went straight for the Bond girl. I thought Ringo Starr would marry me, like Graham Nash singing Our House to Joni Mitchell. Ringo would sing to me about octopi and yellow submarines. When he sang with a little help from my friends, he would give me a knowing wink. The last time I saw Ringo was in a Long Island theater in the Round. Ringo was in an all-star band. My husband was having an affair, but we had tickets, so we went. On his way to the stage, Ringo stopped by my aisle seat, gave my soon-to-be ex a dirty look, and squeezed my hand. His puppy dog eyes gazed into mine, and I knew it was love. Thank you. I'll end it.
That was great. You can do one more if you want.
Oh, all right, I have a short one. Because I love Lucy, I told Jana, my boss, I'd buy the Dos Equis. Because Desi Arnaz wrote a book called A Book, because he came to B. Dalton Bookseller, because he wore a Gallavera shirt, because he sang Babaloo, banging out the rhythms on a conga drum, because we sold his book, because he was already blind drunk, because he didn't finish all the cerveza, because he threw up in the employee's bathroom, because I volunteered to clean up the vomit, because Jana took out a 20 from the till to thank me, because I had a new shiny engagement ring, because Desi kissed my hand and hoped I would be as happy as he and Lucy were, because there was leftover beer, because my fiance had a liquid dinner, because there was a new movie out about Lucy and Desi, because I am almost as old as Desi was when he died. Thank you.
That was absolutely wonderful, Vicki.
Thank you.
On quite a journey. You gave zooming a whole new meaning, a whole new depth.
Yeah.
The reference to the Cootie factory and the people saying 1,000 Hail Marys and the father as a caveman. I got to get that image out of my head of you on the Peloton casting off your bra and speculating on your string bikini. Those poems about your mother, Saint Paula, and the violets, just beautiful. And the sound, I can hear the sound of the squeaking wheels of your mother's walker, and it's just so beautiful what you put in the little basket too.
Yeah.
Just really very, very moving, and the topsy-turvy world that you described, just so moving. And that house in Levittown, everyone going home, and you know, Levittown has just so much captures, I think, experience of so many people that grew up on Long Island. You know, that burning bunny and that smell that she'd never get out of her hair, and the flood, and geez, the experiences of Jones Beach. And that was referencing 1969, which was quite a year that we all remember. And the Ringo Starr, the Marry Me, and the reflections on Desi and Lucy were just beautiful. Thank you for such a vivid journey. So
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Great having you. We've added another person. So this is, by the way, this is the largest group we've had in quite some time.
Wow.
Tribute to you. Okay, so we're going to switch over to the open read. I'd ask everyone, Vicki, I'm going to mute you now. Everyone to please keep your microphones muted so we don't get background noise. And we have a lot of people that want to read today. So I'm probably going to be a bit more, I don't want to say aggressive or more forceful, whatever, to make sure that we all respect the rules that we have for the open read. So let's go here. So you'll recognize, you know, we are a Christian church also, as we do recognize the Old Testament here. So think of these as the 10 commandments for the open read. So put your name in chat. There are now over 20 names in there. If you haven't already put your name in chat or you're chat challenged, we at the end, with Kathy and Richard helping me, we'll make sure that everyone who wants to read gets to read. So if you're all freaked out about getting in chat, don't worry, we'll figure out a way to include you. please, 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 a couple of you asked if you could read more than one poem, and unfortunately the answer has to be no, one poem only, please. Please respect that because we got a lot of people that want to read. Please keep your microphone muted. Please wait to be called upon. And again, I'll call upon people in groups of 3. So be prepared if you're one of those 3 to kind of know where you are in the sequence, and you'll have to turn on your mic as well. So everyone will be muted. So you have to actually, when it's your turn to read, your prompt, I will actually ask you to please turn on your mic, and turn on your mic, and then you will have the floor. So let's get rid of the rules. And let's now move. And so we're going to do these in groups of 3. And what I do is I like to just pick up people's first names. And a couple of you where first names, you're using some type of chat name or email name. So my apologies if I call you something other than your actual name. It's how it appears up on my screen. So our first group is Victoria and Barbara. And there are 2 Barbaras here. It's Barbara with a B and then Alice. So Victoria, Barbara, and Alice. So Victoria, over to you first.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. I'm Victoria Toomey, and this poem is The Painter. He paints a black leopard hiding in a cave, its 2 golden eyes dissolving into shadow, that you might learn to set your darkness free. He paints a wild and riderless pony traveling the open range, that you might seek the meaning of your journey. He paints the ominous clouds, the sheets of rain falling upon the distant gray horizon, that you might awaken into now. He paints the old brown dog that will not leave her master's flowered grave, that you might feel the power of devotion. He paints the weeping willow, tall and lush, bowing deep with its long green arms, that you might learn humility. He paints all the bright white snow that has ever tumbled down upon the waiting earth, that you might know you are unique. He paints the liquid blue of ocean where it meets the waiting grains of sand, that you might learn to give and take. He paints the little speckled bird child falling through the bony fingers of the tree, that you might feel your innate tenderness. He paints the endless ribbon of night with its stippled stars and glowing moon to guide you on your way.
Thank you, Victoria. Beautiful image of a painter. Okay, over to Barbara. Barbara with a B.
Okay. Hi, that's me.
Oh,
I think,
that's Barbara with a B. Okay.
yeah. Oh, well, my little symbol on the thing is B, but you go, Barbara Branca. You go
Okay.
first.
I thought I was Barbara with B. It's all good. Good morning, everyone. This is kind of a lighthearted pandemic poem that was just published in Long Island Quarterly. You can't socially distance in the Italian pork store. There's so much more than pork, but there's only one slim door for both ingress and egress. The sparkling glass case beckons with mozzarella in agua, mounded meatballs, marinated mushrooms, offerings of olives, spirals of sausage. You try to look from a safe distance between other patrons. Feasting eyes track row upon row across and down until you must zoom in for a close-up. Crusty loaves of semolina soldiers, seated or unseated. Choices not to be made lightly. The door jingles open. All eyes scroll right. Another masked dreamer enters to gaze and graze. She seems safe, like extended family. What if the floor magically moved everyone to the next station? But alas, I might not have the perfect view to say to Fabrizio, late of Naples, yes, that's the one, as dancing eyes flirt above his black mask. Thank you.
That was wonderful, Barbara. I married an Italian woman, and one of the many things I learned was the joy of a pork store. I never knew what those were. So, Barbara Siegel, we will get to you a little bit later on. I didn't forget you. I've got you down. So don't, rest assured, we will get you. You're in like the fourth group or so, so we will get to you. But I want to now call upon Alice. I've got people in the order they signed in. So Alice, over to you. You got to turn your mic on. We'll give Alice a second. Sometimes people drop out, so.
Hello.
There you are. Okay, Alice, all yours.
Oh, am I on? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so I was feeling a little bit blue because yet another writer passed and I just found out about it. So I'm finishing a poem I wrote when I returned to New York, moved back to. Further tales of the small white dove. You again, I say, gazing outside before leaving for yet another memorial service. A small white dove presses against my windowsill, then begins pacing, cooing, and inspecting my flower pots. We blink in recognition. I'm an outsider. Are you one too? Do you need a rest? The dove settles in, curving into feathers. Fathoms of emotions deep as the Atlantic, shallow as glass, overfill me, and I fold, breathing into a sigh. Thinking, too old, too young, knowing better or not. Frequently accused of not owning my feelings at all. Do others see in better than I see out? The dove does not answer. How did you get here? My compass arrow spun north, a magnetic pull me into this island. Or was it like swimming salmon? I asked to mend a life as undone as a pile of sewing. The outsider reads again, recalling Rilke's poem, the one about looking into another's window. In mine, sunlight bathes a place in the woods near Shoe Swamp. His bamboo flute fills the spaces between the trees. This is music about crickets chirping in the August night. Frogs sing chorus. Notes roll over the smooth pond. Looking at moments through the window's glass. Meanwhile, the white dove rests on my window's ledge. For now, this is enough. The rest is unknowable.
Thank you, Alice. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, the next group of three, we have JR, followed by Bob. I think we've only got one Bob on the line, followed by Maggie. So JR, over to you.
Terrific. Thank you, Vicki, as always. And so, yeah, I like to think of Vicki with this poem. The inspiration. Bathroom fixture. Because I keep a mermaid in the bathtub, I shower in the rain. A tablecloth strung from the oak a squirrel planted to the mulberry that sprung up one spring and scrapes the side of the garage. Birds turn their heads as soap suds fill the empty flower bed. Because I keep a mermaid in the bathtub, rubber ducks line my bookshelves, washcloths are doilies under vases, and sculptures all in shades of purple, fish scales clog my drains. Because I keep a mermaid in my bathtub, my shower curtain is veiled in iridescent scales of turquoise, haunting Aria's siren through the stairwells. Sailors camp out on my front lawn. A clamshell bra hangs from the door frame. Because I keep a mermaid in my bathtub, I don't sleep. We stay up all night in giggling girl chatter, making plans we'll never keep, sharing secrets about men we've never known. And every morning she leaves a gleaming pearl on my pillow.
Oh,
Thank you, Vicki.
Beautiful as always, JR. Got to check my bathtub, see if there's a mermaid in it. Okay, Bob, over to you.
Hi, sometimes my volume doesn't work. Am I coming through okay?
Yes, maybe just speak just a little bit louder, you'll be fine.
Okay. This is called Yes, You Can Be the Change. Is that good? Spend time with the little ones. It is they who will inherit this world. Take time with the elderly. It is they that gave you life. Be patient with the infirm. It is you who are blessed to lend assistance. Before you boast and blabber, listen to the wise words of others. Bow low to lift up the less fortunate, to make their day a bit more bearable. Savor the blessings you possess, revel in thanks for them. Let your light shine to make a brighter world. Give, you will get back more than you can ever imagine. You, yes, you, are the change that will make our world better. Thank you.
You could have entitled that The Beatitudes of Bob Hayes. That was wonderful. Thank you. Okay, Maggie, over to you.
Hi, everybody. I just want to give a shout out to Richard Bronson, who's going to feature at Poetry Street this month with Carmen Bugan and Vivette Dukes. More shall be revealed, end of the month. My poem is called Loss. I did not take care of you, young inebriate that I was. The blooming breasts were a bit of a thrill, but your journey within my womb caused the scotch I needed for survival to make me nauseous, angry at the injustice of consequence. I had you plucked from me like a grape and never looked back till years later when you're not here to go shopping or house hunting or to a hockey game or the theater, to tell you to get the hair out of your eyes or shine your shoes or iron your shirt, to plead with you to finish college or beg you to move closer to home.
Beautiful, Maggie. Very touching. Okay, our next three, it looks like, and this is, I apologize if this is not your given name, but this is how you appear. So DDS Pungent, followed by Mike, the North Carolina contingent, which would be Mike Daly, followed by James Horn. So DDS, I'll let you go. Gonna come off mute. See if she's here. We'll give her a second. Sometimes people drop out. DDS Pungent, going once, going twice, going thrice. Okay, she may have had to drop out. So if she comes back, we will pick her up at that point. So Mike, first of our North Carolina poets, Mike, over to you.
I'm on. Give you a little story about this poem I'm going to read. It's the first poem I read to a poetry group when I moved down to North Carolina. It's the first one I've ever really read to strangers. It was a group of mostly ladies. They all read their very thoughtful, very picturesque poetry, and then along came my poems. This is a true story. It's an annual event. As a matter of fact, it takes place tomorrow in all the big cities in the world. It is called the annual No Pants Subway Ride. It's been brought to my attention there's a brief one-day suspension of the requirement to wear your pants in a ride. It's an improv-based experiment to show there's no embarrassment, and pants or not, you have no need to hide. So this Sunday, the 9th of Jan, be a woman or a man, a lovely pair of drawers will hit the spot. Ignore the Snickers and the stairs, act as if you have no cares, and ride the train as if you just forgot. There'll be thousands around the world that will leave their pants unfurled and ride the train or metro casually. You can join them brave and bold sans pants, as you've been told, or once on board, just drop them gradually. So if you are among the masses, please show no bare asses. Wear some drawers in real dignity. If you ride the trains this weekend, remember, no fair peeking. If I see you, pretend you don't see me. They actually invited me back the next month to read more, which was a surprise to me.
Well,
Thank you.
Added some vivid imagery and no doubt some diversity to the group. So that was great. Okay, thank you. Our other North Carolina representative, James.
Okay, here we go. You're ready for my southern accent, of course.
Always.
No sense in rhyming my poems. My wife kind of got mad at me. She kept telling me, I said, you don't need to rhyme poems anymore. So okay, I said, well, I'll stop. No sense in rhyming my poems. Words must be clear and explicit. Their message and meaning explains why it happened and had occurred. Keep poems safe, sane, and secure, also short and simple while sweet. Set an example for others to follow, free from sin, and prepare a new home. God has a huge home in heaven. Speak so dear and perfectly clear. Someday soon you will see my son while waiting in heaven to meet you. Now can relax and worry no more, knowing that God has done for me, which was what I would realize, should again and again exercise. So that's my only rhyming part. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Very, very well done. Okay, I got to ask a question. We're fortunate to have, previous poet laureates often show up, and we did have Robert Savino, who asked to read, but then he said he may have to leave early. So I just want to do a shout out to Robert if you're there. Going once, going twice. Right, okay, he's not. Okay, so the next group of three then would be Herb, followed by Shu, followed by Leslie. So Herb, one poem from you, please.
All right. You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Dreadful. The trees all through the winter woods are thin. They've shed those pounds they've gained since spring. There are now svelte cells expose each skeleton. They've purged themselves from spring's long fling. I haven't shed the pounds I grossly gained from spring and summer and through fall. I have, however, shed some hair that rained down to my sink to form a ball that bounced right back, a truth that slapped my face, and skeletal becoming head. The seasons that were slow now pick up pace and fill my winter woods with dread. Thank you.
Well done, Herb. Well done. Appreciate it. When I just got back from, made the mistake of getting on the scale when I just got back from St. Lucia at Sandals, and it was the heaviest I've ever been. I'm proud to say I just lost 5 pounds. So thank you. Okay, Shu, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
2022 is here. So we had a snowstorm on Saturday night. So I'm writing something about snow. I posted my poem on the chat so you can follow. Snow. Dancing crystal with has-gone soul. Rotating, swing, floating from the sky. Gently, very gently. Slowly, quite slowly. Silently, extremely silently. Landing on the roof, hanging on the tree. Carving the ground with white, pure white. The word, sleep under the puffy blanket, peacefully. Thank you.
Beautiful, Shu. Beautiful. Okay, so we've got Leslie, followed by the other James. I may have, if there's a second James, it'll be the second James, or I may have gotten James Horn twice. But Leslie, followed by James, and then followed by Barbara Siegel. So Leslie, over to you, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm reading a poem that I wrote when I kind of looked in the mirror and saw that I was in the last quarter of my life. It happened very quickly. The name of the poem is A Life Lived. Wished on stars for promises. So thankful I was given it all. Dreams, always lighting passion. In the mirror of my life, with too few breaths left, a reflection shines upon so much. Music played a narrative of the years. The decades danced in romantic steps, syncopated rhythms swayed in tune. I was the joyful spirit twirling at the party, listening to songs, spinning in music, arms stretched out, waiting for the dance. I have been touched by the sun, immersed in flowers, nature whispering enchantments in my step beside me. The moon held me close, drawing my heart to it. Faces lit the night and showed me the way. Waves hugged the beach to rock and caress me, embracing warmth upon my soul. Birds visited to sing their songs, telling their secrets between the beating of their wings. I have been touched by hundreds of children sitting at desks, filling my days and years, their lessons always of the giving heart. Divine touch of my babies, their sweetness and simple smiles. Tiny fingers on my skin, my soul sang. The yogi's practice of deep inhalations scented my core, protected me from life's often painful truths. They say a life isn't measured in breaths, but the moments that take your breath away. I am filled with the joy of those moments.
Thank you, Leslie. Beautiful. Okay, I think I made a mistake where I sent James. I think I said Jack. So Jack, why don't you'll go after Barbara Siegel if it's Jack. So Barb, let's go to Barbara Siegel.
Okay, take two. I'm going to read 3 haiku. I think that counts as a very small poem. So, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. So we're going to start with October. I rest my heart from the chilling red chrysanthemum. I'll read it twice the way that our poet laureate does. I rest my heart from the chilling red chrysanthemum. November, I wrote, brown leaves rest on Buddha's peaceful head. December, still a petticoat of dry leaves on the young oak tree. Still a petticoat of dry leaves on the oak tree. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Well done.
Okay.
Okay, Jack, over to you.
Okay, hi. Just very quickly make an announcement. 3 o'clock on the 13th of January, this Thursday, I'm going to be on the radio, interviewed by Paula Kersey on the Corner Calliope show on Half Store Radio. So it's nice. It's a good interview. Okay, so this is called Making a Bet. I'm here now, though I was in the high weeds, not knowing where the path led. Weary, sad, alone, I sailed on a swelling sea. There were no reference points or coordinates. I walked on crowded streets with a sadness, a defiance, now alone with others. I want to sigh and ask, am I near the end of the line? I hang on a thread of love. I balance on a beam of life, making a bet on divine pathos. If you believe in a wager, you've got to commit. Reality is waiting for me to ante up.
Thank you, Jack. Well done. Okay, our next group of 3 will be Bruce Johnson, followed by Dan Kerr, and then followed by Hira. So Bruce, over to you.
Okay, you can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. This is called What's So Funny? The bed is squeaking like the Tin Man's rusty elbow, but don't laugh. She usually hates it on top. Now she's really into it. Don't ruin it. Think of what you're risking. Things are going just right. See that look on her face? If you don't wreck this, she's going to want to do it just this way again. Concentrate on her hair. As it sweeps across your chest, focus on the outline of her body in the glow of the candle. Try to hear only the sound of her breath. Now her rhythm is more urgent, but so is the squeak. Just don't say anything funny. Don't say oil can. Don't even think it. But you already have, haven't you? It's already too late. You can't hold back that chuckle. And she laughs too, and you both laugh so wildly that it almost feels like the thing that didn't happen. But the laughter passes and the moment passes. Now she seems distant and annoyed and slips off and walks away. I'm sorry, honey, you offer as you rise, resting on an elbow. I ruined a very passionate moment. She disappears through the doorway as you lie back and wonder which moment is rarer, which you prefer.
Thank you, Bruce. Well done. Okay, you never want to stereotype, but looking at the pictures in the that show up here on Zoom, it looks like quite a few of us were around in the 1960s. And if you watch TV in the 1960s, you may remember Ed Reimers, who would always put out his hands. You'd be in good hands with Allstate. So this poem, excuse me, is called Are They Still in Good Hands? Growing up in the 1960s, I watched a lot of TV with my family. Ed Sullivan introduced us to the Beatles, and Walter Cronkite brought the Vietnam War into our living room. There was Bonanza and the Wonderful World of Disney, but it was the colorful characters from the commercials that connected Star Trek to the Twilight Zone. No matter how chaotic the world became, we were always in good hands with Allstate. As the world turned, what happened to those angels of commerce? Did the Lucky Charms leprechaun retire to the Valley of the Jolly Green Giant? Did Josephine the plumber ever run into the Tidy Pole Man? Did the children singing Bum Bum Bumblebee Tuna ever hang out with the kids that wish they were an Oscar Mayer wiener? Did Ricardo Montalban ever give the Frito Bandito a ride in his Cordoba? Did he describe, and when he did so, did he describe the beauty of Corinthian leather during the ride? Did Aunt Jemima ever hook up with Uncle Ben? And when they did they settle down in Colonel Sanders' plantation? Did Mr. Clean ever come out of the closet? Did he discover that Ajax laundry detergent was truly stronger than dirt? Did Alexei Gente ever have lunch with Juan Valdez? And when they did the whole town celebrate their meeting? Did the Coca-Cola choir singing on the mountain in perfect harmony ever invite G.I. Joe or the folks that shot cereal from guns to join them in song?
Oh boy.
Did Charlie the tuna ever meet Morris the cat? What did they talk about? Is the Alka-Seltzer talking stomach still arguing with the guy that ate the pepperoni pizza? The world has changed quite a bit since the 1960s. The Marlboro Man died of lung cancer long ago. And as I flip back and forth between MSNBC and Fox News for my news, it seems both sides may need a nice Hawaiian punch. Baby boomers can argue with millennials over who has the better advertising characters. The Geico lizard, the Aflac duck, and Flo may be good insurance salesmen, but I still would rather be in good hands with Allstate than ride around with some guy named Mayhem. Thank you. Okay, so with that, I switch over to Hira.
Thank you, Dan. I'm Hiram LaRue. I'm from Maryland, or as we say down here, Maryland. And I want to thank J.R. Turek for letting me know about this circle. It's been fun listening in. I'm going to read a poem titled Uphill, which appeared first in the Clock Radio Review. Uphill. If asked what the most beautiful sight on earth is, I'd probably say that it's the feeling of a blanket half covering bare shoulders in spring, with a drizzling rain outside. that is surely one of the most important loves to live through. I think I'd also have to say that whatever I don't understand is really lovely in the hungriest sort of way, because it makes me pedal uphill, especially for the kind of soup or bread I've come to crave. And to be honest, I'd also have to admit what I've known all along, that for something to really float or glow or leave love in me, it has to be out of place in an understood only afterwards sort of way. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, Hiram. That was great. And it's so wonderful to have now we've got North Carolina, Maryland, and Florida together with New York, all represented on the same, same poetry reading. So thank you, Hiram, on many levels. Okay, Emily, you're the last one on the list. That doesn't mean you others won't get a chance. That was just the last one I picked up on the list. So Emily, over to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Vicki, and all the readers who followed. I'm going to read a poem dedicated to my mother, who passed away in January 11 years ago. Second parent to die. No words filtered out of the fog that rewrapped itself around me, familiar and unwelcome. No ritual tided me over pain's abyss. I rejected covers for the mirrors and low wooden boxes where devout Jewish mourners sit during Shiva. Food arrived at the door, wrapped in cellophane. The baskets slowly covered every inch of the elegant dining table, where I searched for your favorite embroidered tablecloth in the overstuffed Korean wedding chest that opened with a special brass key. Friends and relatives chatted quietly in every room, occasionally complimenting artwork, fine china, antiques they'd noticed perhaps for the first time. Neighbors I didn't know brought cookies and sympathy. The rabbi led the prayers I recognized but couldn't speak. Hugs and kisses drifted out into the cold night over the house where my brothers and I grew up until silence fell like dust. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Very, very moving. Great imagery. Okay, Sherry, over to you. And as we wait for Sherry to turn on her mic, if there's anyone else who wanted to read that didn't put their name in chat, or if I missed it, just type it in now. So Sherry?
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. Thanks for this wonderful, peaceful, lovely place that everyone is here reading. And I love all the art. And Vicki, I really enjoyed your reading and appreciate everyone who puts this together. I love this space. The piece I'm going to read to you is called Peace Reign, spelled R-E-I-G-N, and was published in the Long Island Quarterly a couple weeks ago. An eagle climbing sunward lets biolage ebony to snow feather fall. Despite a breeze urging the plume afloat, it bursts to gold and violet stardust, which begins to rain its sparkle ash on soils and seas. When bursting from each fleck emerges the dance of the butterflies. Delicate wings pulsate flute whistles of an aria as thunder of more and more eagles swoop, then soften to a soundless glide. Release their plumages in a knowing stardust rain showers flourish, the butterfly dance. Reaching every window, yard, street, beach, forest, desert, ocean, will children, elders, elephants, pandas, patus, caracals, whales, surface from foraging in witness, hold a breath gasp, the scent of rain without water invocation. Ocean tides smooth to glass and leaves subdue as if in a Klimt birch painting. Clouds yield to allow a brilliant sapphire showcase the chromatic aberration of every wing, not one the same, with hues unnamed transmuting with each flutter apparition. seconds or millennia. Behold this majesty. Those with angst forget their quarrels, no longer caring for wounds' significance. Arms embracing, not to arm. A soothe offering fosters nourishment as trees, bees, seas replenish with each soul shifting intention, waking to the dance of the butterflies. Thank you.
Mary, that was beautiful. And I was listening to the line about the dancing of the butterflies. That little candle in back of you was flickering at the same time, the flame. So, okay, so I think I got everybody who put their name in chat. So let's try, just make sure we haven't missed anybody. We'll make sure we get everybody now. So let me change my view here. And I'm going to put everybody in the gallery. So if you want to read and haven't read yet, please wave your hands or give me some other gesture that lets me know you want to read. And Kathy and Richard, please keep an eye out if we missed anybody, and also type your name in chat. We had over 20 readers today, which is probably the most we've had in quite some time. So, okay, I don't see any. I see Kathy Godley, who always waits to the end. Kathy is always very respectful. She wants to make sure there's room. Kathy, there is always room for you. You never have to worry about that. So go ahead.
Thank you for saying that, Dan. Also, thank you for emceeing. And Richard, thank you for being here faithfully monthly. Vicki, you would make the sexiest plumber I've ever heard of. And thank you. You know, you may move to Florida, but girl, you've got that New York in your face, honesty, toughness. Yeah, you're bringing New York to Florida, not the opposite. That's my opinion. I have a quick poem just for some levity. It was inspired by doing the laundry. It's called One Black Sock. Swept down the street to the side of the road up against the sidewalk, too thick to rush down the drain with the rain. Somewhere is its match, probably tucked safely away in a drawer with others of its kind, smothered, cramped, but not left behind. You never know or if the match will be found. Best to hold on to what you have, lest you throw it away, only to find the match shows up one day. You think it looks like the one sock worn by a homeless man who feels one is better than none, or left by lovers in the bushes when they were done. It may be having a more romantic life than you, traveling the high roads and low, ventured out floating on wind, not the casualty of a faulty clothespin.
Thank you, Kathy. Think of you every time I try to match my socks. Okay, we'll go once more to the gallery. Anyone else who wanted to read before we call back Vicki for a much anticipated encore? Anyone else? Okay, I don't see any waving hands. Okay, Vicki, over to you.
Thank you, everyone. You're all amazing. Long Island has such a strong community, and everyone else that came in, oh, amazing. I miss you all. So this is, I usually end with this. This is a very New York poem, I think. So here it is. Crossing over. Wire down on 6th Avenue. Can't get across the street where Rite Aid keeps my antidepressants. I stay in my apartment on hot weekends with my medicated cocktails. I picked up Moby Dick again, my college copy, dead fish, stiff and yellow. My college lover's tongue tasted like peppermints. His major was animal husbandry. He became a dairy farmer in upstate New York. I could have been the wife of a dairy farmer. Last week, when I went to the fortune teller, she gave me back my money, closed my palm, and made the sign of the cross. I can't shake off the feeling that zombies are following me. It's the antidepressants, my therapist says. She says the new dosage will take some time to kick in. If I could get across 6th Avenue, I could start the dosage, but the wire is too big for the chronically depressed to cross over. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, beautiful encore. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Richard, over to you.
Okay, well, thank you. First of all, Vicki, you know, that I have these strong memories of you reading at the Poetry Barn in Huntington, and you didn't disappoint. The wonderful spunkiness of your poems. It's just a very special, strong voice. Of course, thank you, everyone. Just the wide spectrum of different styles, the coming together. We live in a time when the virus is trying to separate us into our little boxes and little holes. And this is the type of thing that the Canvas brings us all together as a community. So it's just wonderful. I look forward, I've said this each month, but I look forward to the second Saturday so much. And I want to tell you a little about the new, our next reader next month. Someone I'm sure many people knows, that's Tom Stock. So I've known Tom for many, many years. He was pretty active a while ago, in the LIPC workshop in Huntington. And he had a very interesting background, probably retired science teacher, a very strong interest in the environment. He actually lived for a while in the Pine Barrens. There's wonderful stories about those experiences, and active as a ranger in the Far Island National Seashore, and just some strong interest in the environment. He's won a literary award in the New York State Outdoor Education Association. His poems are very interesting, just a different background from most that you'll hear. He's published a couple of books, and also he also is an essayist, and just very vigorous for poems informed really by the environment and his special looking at sort of Long Island from that point of view. So if you can make it, I recommend being here next month to hear Tom, a very special reading. We've been very lucky. Each poet that Kathy selected, it's just very, very different in their style, and they're coming from it just leads to a special time. So thanks everyone once again, and I look forward to seeing you second Saturday in February.